During a $4 million deal, the useless old man should have just gone home. Director Henry suddenly pushed me away. The client was dumbfounded, but it seemed Director Henry was serious. Until now, I've been harassed by Director Henry repeatedly, but I endured it because I had a family to support. But I can't take it anymore. I'm useless, so I'll quit. Before I realized it, I had uttered those words. Director Henry was grinning at me, but I don't care anymore. Right then and there, I decided to resign and take all the employees with me. As a result, Director Henry was driven into a corner. My name is Thomas. I turned 49 this year. I work at a food-related company, negotiating with various businesses every day. I mainly handle meetings with subcontractors, scheduling deliveries, and setting prices for products. As I approached 50, rumors had it that I might become a manager. However, in the end, a man 1 year younger than me named Henry became the manager of my department. Honestly, I couldn't understand why Mr. Henry was appointed manager. Previously, he was in a different department, so I only knew about Manager Henry through rumors. But I hadn't heard good things about him, nor did he seem particularly competent at his job. Being appointed manager must mean he was well regarded and recognized by others. Up until now, I've been leading a rather peaceful life. Work has been tough at times, but I consider that a valuable experience too. However, I can't come to terms with my relationship with Manager Henry. From the beginning of his tenure, for some reason, he's been particularly tough on me. For instance, the first time Manager Henry was supposed to join a negotiation I was involved in, Manager Henry didn't show up at the scheduled time, and I ended up handling the negotiation alone. It's not that we couldn't proceed without Manager Henry, but since he insisted on attending, I told the client's representative to wait until he arrived. But 15 minutes past the scheduled time, he still hadn't shown up. So I had to apologize to the representative and proceed with the negotiation. If there had been some trouble, it would have been understandable, but Manager Henry was just having a meal. No way. I just had some time today and really wanted to try this popular restaurant. The client was waiting, Don't get so mad. It doesn't matter if I'm there or not. The line was longer than I thought. Whether Manager Henry decides to eat out has nothing to do with me. However, if he was just waiting in line at the restaurant, couldn't he have called or sent an email? That's what I thought, but I held my tongue. I thought it better not to say anything more and complicate our relationship further. However, it seems my restraint was a mistake. Manager Henry began to do whatever he wanted, and I was completely deemed inferior. Just the other day, something like this happened. It was my birthday, and a department drinking party was scheduled every year. I would usually spend my birthday with my wife, but since Manager Henry joined, it was the first party. So I decided to attend. I informed my wife beforehand and then headed to the designated restaurant. However, the scheduled time came and went, and no one appeared. A question popped into my head. I understood Manager Henry being late, but it didn't make sense for my juniors to be late. Moreover, nearly 30 minutes had passed since the scheduled time. So, thinking this, I called my junior. I came to the restaurant Manager Henry mentioned. But when is everyone arriving? What? It's already started. What do you mean? I asked for details over the phone. Here's what I found out. Manager Henry had suddenly decided to change the venue, moving it to a location about a 10-minute walk from where I was. I was told an email had been sent, but for some reason, it never reached my phone. After that, I headed to the restaurant my junior told me about, but as I looked through the window, I saw Manager Henry having a blast inside. Despite a bad feeling, I lifted my heavy feet and entered the restaurant. You're late. The party's already started. When was the venue changed? It seems I was the only one not informed. Oh, really? I thought I sent an email, but maybe I forgot. Manager Henry said this while laughing nonchalantly. It's unclear if he meant no harm, or if he was trying to cover up something deliberate. I don't know his true intentions, but it's likely the latter. Lately, Manager Henry's attitude towards me has been so obvious. It's clear that I'm disliked. It's so obvious, even I can tell, so the juniors must have noticed too. Still, why are you so bad at your job? Are you talking about me? Who else could I be talking about? Aren't you embarrassed to be outranked by someone younger than you? As he said this, Manager Henry poured beer into the glass I was holding. Then he looked at me as if telling me to drink. I decided to meet Manager Henry's expectations and silently downed the beer in one go. Oh, you're better than I thought. I've gained some respect for you. Thank you. I'm not really good with alcohol, but I was trying to get along with Manager Henry. Thinking it went well, I ended up drinking more than I could handle. But did that make Manager Henry like me a little? However, from the next day, Manager Henry didn't stop harassing me. On the contrary, it felt like it was getting worse each day. Hey, I told you to have this report done by today. Why isn't it ready? I wasn't given any instructions. Don't make excuses. Are you saying it's my fault? No, that's not what I mean. Previously, he never used to yell, but lately he's been shouting in front of other employees. There are juniors around, and I feel incredibly uncomfortable in the atmosphere that's created. Then I was assigned to handle a $4 million deal. Such a deal is rare, and I felt pressure for the first time in a while. So, I hear you have a $4 million deal coming up. Mind if I join? Okay, I'll let the client's representative know. This negotiation is crucial. I can't afford to mess it up, and I'd be in trouble if Manager Henry is late like before. Unsure what to do, I did as told and informed the client that Manager Henry would be attending on the day of the negotiation. I didn't know what the outcome would be, but I could only do my best. After meticulous preparation, I packed everything necessary into my bag and left the office. Fortunately, by the time I arrived at the client's company, Manager Henry was already there. Let's go quickly. Let's just get the signature and head back. At this moment, I felt a strange discomfort towards the unexpectedly proactive Manager Henry. Then we were shown into the room and began the negotiation. Since I was the main point of contact, Manager Henry just sat next to me. The client representative nodded and pondered as I spoke. Suddenly, Manager Henry, sitting next to me, shouted, "Useless old man should just go home." Moreover, he pushed me as he said it and he was grinning at me. The client representative was dumbstruck, and the atmosphere was terrible. Until now, I've been repeatedly harassed by Manager Henry, but I endured it because I have a family to support. But I can't take it anymore. At that moment, I blurted out something unthinkable. I'm useless, so I'll quit. At that time, I didn't even understand why such words came out. But later, thinking it over, I must have been at my mental limit. Otherwise, someone as responsible as me would never say something like that in front of a client. Manager Henry looked surprised for a moment, but soon he was grinning again. Are you serious? That's convenient for me. Please do quit. Are you really okay with this? Won't you regret it later? Regret? Why would I regret anything? I'm going to take credit for today's $4 million deal. Understood. Then I'll get out of your way. With that, I began preparing to return to our company. The representative tried to detain me, but I apologized briefly and left the room. I felt bad for the client, but as soon as the word resign came to mind, I couldn't think of anything else. Truth be told, I had been harassed by Manager Henry in ways not related to work too. Once a gift I bought for my wife was stolen from my desk without my knowledge. Such incidents had accumulated, and I must have lost my emotional capacity as I continued with my preparations to leave. I called the company, and a junior answered, "Sorry, I've decided to quit my job. What's going on all of a sudden? Isn't today the day of the $4 million negotiation?" "Yeah, it is, but Manager Henry told me, useless old men should just go home." At those words, my junior became furious. He started explaining the situation loudly enough for the entire office to hear. Then the employees present shouted, so I could hear them over the phone. "If Mr. Thomas is quitting, we're quitting too." What's gotten into everyone all of a sudden? Have you forgotten we all said we'd follow Mr. Thomas? Hearing my junior's words, I remembered past events. That's right, I was never alone. Why had I forgotten something like this until now? Encouraged by the words of my juniors and other employees, I was able to firmly decide to resign. What's going on? Who are you calling? That's right. I need to say goodbye to everyone too. Manager Henry was looking at me with a composed expression. If I'm quitting the company, it looks like everyone else will too. Everyone? Who are you talking about? All the employees. We'll discuss the details when I get back. After saying that, I bowed and returned to my own company. After a while, Manager Henry returned from the negotiation. However, his expression was dark, and it was apparent that the negotiation had not gone well. That makes sense. It's no wonder he received suspicious looks for pushing a subordinate during the negotiation. If I were the client, I wouldn't want to sign a contract with someone who treats their subordinates like that. Unaware of this, Manager Henry confronted me as soon as he returned. You made us lose a $4 million deal. How are you going to fix this? I don't think that was my fault. What are you saying? It was my fault. Such insolence from a subordinate. Not understanding the situation around him, Manager Henry raised his voice in intimidation. But gradually, he started noticing that the atmosphere in the office was different than usual and began looking around. What? Why is there so little luggage? And where has everyone gone? Didn't I tell you? Everyone is quitting. No, that was just a lie you made up, right? Apparently, he couldn't believe that all the employees were resigning and was confused by the current situation. When I told Manager Henry that the employees were in the president's office, he rushed out of the office. I followed behind him. What's going on here? It's not right for everyone to quit. What's wrong is with you? What have you done? What do you mean? I can't grasp the situation. As we entered the president's office, I saw the employees looking angrily at Manager Henry. Anyway, we need you to leave the company. Is that clear? Wait, please. Why would that happen? It's because of your attitude towards Mr. Thomas and what happened in the negotiation. The negotiation issue was Mr. Thomas's fault. And why would I get fired just for a bad attitude? Hearing Manager Henry's words, the president took a deep breath and said, That's because Mr. Thomas is irreplaceable to our company. Even after hearing the president's words, Mr. Henry seemed unable to comprehend. Well, it's no wonder he doesn't know. Originally, Mr. Henry worked at a different branch, so he wouldn't be aware of what had been happening at the headquarters. In fact, this company almost went bankrupt a few years ago. Various factors contributed to a slump in product sales. Despite attempts to recover, we couldn't catch up with the current trends and continued to decline. During that time, it was Mr. Thomas who secured very generous deals with a client worth millions multiple times. Thanks to that, the company managed to recover. The president thanked me, and even the employees who already had families thanked me. They also said they would fully support me in any situation. What? Don't make me laugh. When he was being harassed, nobody helped him, right? That's because I told them everything was fine and they didn't need to do anything. Why would you say something like that? I wanted Mr. Henry to succeed here. At that moment, Mr. Henry fell silent. My words were, of course, heartfelt. No matter how much Mr. Henry harassed me, I believed that if I just endured, everything would be okay. Besides, when considering the company as a whole, I thought Mr. Henry was a necessary talent. Being younger than me and still becoming a manager must have some reasonable basis. It's impossible for someone ranked lower than me to have turned around the company. That's because Mr. Thomas declined the position, and that's the only reason you became a manager. What do you mean I became a manager just because Mr. Thomas turned it down? It's harsh to say, but yes, that's about it. Truth be told, when I was mentioned as a potential manager, the president came to me and said, I want you to lead the company, so please become a manager. There are plans for further promotion too. I found the president's words appealing, but I liked working in my current role, so I declined the promotion. Is that even possible? Normally, nobody turns down a promotion. Normally, yes, but Mr. Thomas is different. This makes it sound like I'm the bad guy here. That's why everyone here, including myself, sees you as the bad guy. Hearing this, Mr. Henry's shoulders slumped. He left the president's office briskly and then returned with a resignation letter in hand. He handed the resignation letter to the president. After submitting his resignation, Mr. Henry went back to the office. Curious about his actions, I followed him. Why did you suddenly submit a resignation? Don't make me say it, but you were different just a moment ago, I asked. I lost both as a professional and as a person, Mr. Henry replied. After saying this, Mr. Henry packed up his belongings and left. Since then, peaceful times have returned to the office. By the way, what ended up happening to Mr. Henry? It seems his resignation was officially accepted. Well, it's no surprise. He ruined a $4 million deal after all. No, actually, I revisited and formally secured the contract after that incident. I apologized to the client representative and asked for a chance to renegotiate from the beginning. Overwhelmed by my earnestness, they agreed and stamped the contract. Despite such a blunder, I thought the contract was lost, but it seems my enthusiasm got through to them. Moreover, the representative had initially intended to sign and mentioned wanting to continue contracting with us as long as there were no further issues. Typical Mr. Thomas. I really thought that deal was gone for good. I just sincerely engaged with them. I really think I was lucky. That positive attitude must have really won them over. I need to take a leaf out of your book, my junior said, returning to his desk. With Mr. Henry gone, the department has become significantly brighter. Previously, we were told to keep quiet so juniors like him wouldn't normally speak to me. But now, the office is as lively as it was years ago, and everyone seems to be enjoying their work. I glanced around the office and realized this is how a company should be. I heard that after leaving, Mr. Henry took a job at a supermarket. However, it seems he struggles with personal relationships there too. I heard he quit and has since been staying at home. He's gradually depleting his savings, and that won't last much longer. Mr. Henry is single. I wonder how he plans to live going forward. A year has passed since then, and I heard this story from a junior. Do you remember Mr. Henry? He asked. Of course I remember. What about Mr. Henry? Apparently, he's in a really tough situation now, he replied. A tough situation? When I asked for details, it turns out Mr. Henry has been living on the streets. Sometimes he comes to our company and begs former colleagues for money or asks for food. It's heartbreaking to hear he's ended up like this. I feel like we did something wrong. No, it seems he's covered in debt. But it all started because he lost money gambling, I replied. Hearing this, I was genuinely relieved. I thought Mr. Henry's downfall was somehow my fault, but it seems it was due to gambling he started out of stress. Eventually, he was given a stern warning by the security guards, and since then, he hasn't been seen around here. Before I knew it, I had reached my 50s. Comparing 49 and 50, I don't feel much difference, but being in your 50s comes with an image of knowing everything and being able to handle any situation calmly. Am I really such an adult now? At least I'm trusted by those around me and often approached for advice. Today, a junior wanted to discuss something, but I had an unavoidable commitment. It's that my wife is celebrating my birthday. Previously, because of Mr. Henry, I had terrible birthdays, but this time it's different. My wife has prepared a delicious homemade meal and is waiting at home. So, as soon as it's time to leave, I quickly prepare to head home. My junior laughed, saying it's joyful to see someone so happy about their birthday, but no matter the age, it's always nice to be celebrated.